Hey guys, I'm back with another cooking demo. I hope you liked last week's with the fajitas and the Mexican street corn. So this week we're going to make a pie. I'm going to teach you how to make like a lemon blueberry pie with this Streusel crust. And I've got helpers with me. So my first helper is going to be my dad.
Hello, Monsieur. I am Claude. I'm from Holland.
No.
My name is Claude.
Why?
Van Kamp. Full of beans. Okay.
He doesn't. All right. We got stop. Hey guys, we're back and we're gonna make another cooking demo. Oh, just give it a minute. And today we're going to be making a pie. Spring is a great time for pies, and I've got some personal stories like on my connection with pies. Whenever we get going, I'll share them with you. But I have my guest chefs here with me. So I'd like for you all to welcome Chef Weidert-Green.
Hi. Is that you?
He has on his special glasses because what do we need to do before we start cooking all the time?
Who's talking? Yes.
What do we need to do?
Just a minute.
We need
to read the recipe.
Yes, good job. Okay, so in my class I say that about 90 million times. So we're going to read the recipe. So first we're going to start with our pie pan. Okay, we just have a standard 9-inch pie pan here. My favorite one are the Pyrex ones. They're glass. They work great. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit and use a store-bought crust. I definitely have a really good crust recipe if you want it, but since crusts are a little bit more difficult,
help me, but I can't.
Take your glasses off. Okay, so the first thing you kind of want to do is you want to roll out your crust. You need to let your crust sit out about 10 minutes or so after you get it out of the box from the refrigerator. And we're just going to kind of press that around. Okay, so whenever we put our crust into our pie shell here, we want to make sure that we have enough space so that it comes up on the sides, just like that, yes. Now, some people trim off their edges. I don't. My grandparents taught me to fold them under because they loved pie crust. So, yes. Okay, so my grandparents were big pie makers, and my grandpa used to actually enter pie contests and win, so he was very good at them. And then pies are just something we have at every Seavert holiday. It's a big deal. So whenever you have your pie crust in here, you're going to actually fold the edges over. So we're going to give them a little fold, just like so. Yum. Dad, what's your favorite kind of pie?
Well, speaking people, it's yes. When we had Aunt Ollie, and she was my wife's aunt.
Yeah, so
That's why we called her Aunt Ollie. That makes sense. But she used to make this butterscotch. What is it called? The fluffy stuff. Meringue pie. And that brings back memory. Every time I see one of those, man, she did it good. And so when you start making pies or making something special that everybody loves, every time they see it, brings back memories of that certain person.
Yeah, so a lot of people love food and cooking because of the connection that they have with it, some type of a memory. Okay, so now if you can see, I've folded over the edges and we're going to start crimping them, okay? Okay, so now we have our pie and it's perfectly crimped along those edges. So now we're going to work on the filling. So Chef Weidert-Green, can you help me with the filling?
I'm full as it can be. Oh, that kind of filling.
Okay, so for our pie, we're going to start with 4 cups of fresh blueberries, and these have been washed. Okay, so here's our 4 cups. Now, what does the recipe say? Look right here. How much sugar?
That's a lot of 3.5.
No, that's a half. Just a half.
What's that?
That was an oops.
Sorry, my oops for her oops. Half.
So we're going to add a half a cup of sugar. This is 1/4. So how many 1/4s are in a half?
7.
2. So we're going to add 2 of those in here. So a half a cup of sugar into our blueberries. The next thing we're going to add is cornstarch. Cornstarch is a great thickening agent. It's what makes your pies thick in the middle, so when you slice into it, your filling doesn't just run all over. And we're going to add 4 tablespoons of this cornstarch into our mixture here.
Watch, I'm making it rain.
2, 3, and one more is 4. Okay, so whenever we're making a pie, if you make a pudding pie, you're going to have to heat your cornstarch, usually in a saucepan, and put it into a cooked crust. But since this is a fruit pie, the oven's going to do the work for us. So the next thing that we're going to add to this is 1 egg. So can you add 1 egg in there? You have to crack it carefully. And then we're going to add the zest and the juice of 1 lemon. Okay, so I've got my little zester here. Whenever you zest a lemon, you want to get just that top layer. If you get to like the white part, it gets pretty bitter. So just a couple little zests here of this lemon.
You can have zestfully clean.
Blueberries and lemon are such a lovely spring, summer flavor.
You can smell it from here. You
can. Did you know that you actually, your taste buds are kind of made up on how food's going to taste based on the smell? That's the first thing that you do. You eat with your, when people say you eat with your eyes and your sense of smell first, they are absolutely correct. It is scientifically proven.
So it'd be better with my nose than my eyes.
Oh my gosh. That's a little too close up there.
Didn't want to make a spectacle of myself.
Okay, there we go. Now we've got the zest of a lemon, and now we're going to have the juice of a lemon. So we've got this little juicer here, and I'm going to let you juice this for me. So we're just going to put it on, and you're going to press down and give it a little turn. We're going to get all that juice out.
Juice.
Yeah. And we're going to just get this a little mix here and coat it all so that it all looks good. And our filling is almost complete.
What do you do with the seeds?
What?
What do you do with the seeds?
We're going to strain them. We don't want seeds in our pie. Nobody wants seeds in our pie. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add some flavor with some almond extract and some vanilla extract. So we are going to add a teaspoon of almond extract. Here's your other half. Are you about full? Do we need to?
Yeah, I need to be strained to death.
There you go. Just pour it over the strainer here.
Steady as a rock.
Okay.
I should have used the lip.
Yep, it had one.
I know, I missed it.
Okay.
Don't give me no lip.
Oh my gosh. And then we're going to add a teaspoon here of vanilla extract. Okay. And then very last, we're going to add just a pinch of salt because salt really... Okay, so now we're going to add our pinch of salt here. Pinch me!
You said it.
Okay, and the last bit of our lemon juice.
Voila. Not a seed in.
Nice job. Okay, and then...
Reminds me of home when you was here.
So then we're just going to give this a stir and incorporate our ingredients all together. Can you smell it already?
Mm-hmm.
Can you smell the lemon and
I
the
do,
vanilla?
yes.
So it kind of already, you can kind of see what it's going to taste like. We want to make sure that that egg gets really mixed around because you don't want a scrambled egg in the middle of your pie.
The yolk would be on you.
Yes. Good.
Yes.
Good joke. Good joke. Okay, so now that everything's all incorporated, do you want to dump this into our...
Oh, there's no lip. I don't know if I can do it.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
We're going to put all that in.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yes, and we're going to actually scrape the bowl because we don't want any of that yummy flavor left in the bowl. We want it all in our pie. Okay, and then you just want to make sure that your blueberries are all spread out. So now we're going to make a streusel topping before we put this into the oven. Alrighty, and thank you, Chef Boyardee, for your help today.
Yeah, just stopping by. Thought I would say, hey, making a pie. I can eat it.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to make the streusel topping, and I'm here with my mom. The lineage of pie comes from her side of the family mainly. So we're going to start with the streusel topping, and we're going to preheat our oven to 350 because that's what our pie is going to go in at. So You want to preheat it for me? There we go. Okay, so this streusel topping actually originated for the top of an apple pie that my mom's kind of very known for within church or within the family, and it's delicious. So we're going to take that topping and we're going to put it on this blueberry pie. You can put it on really any pie, couldn't you?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with cold butter, and we're going to use a pastry cutter and cut it in. So streusel topping starts with any cold butter usually, because as it begins to bake, the little itty bitty pieces of butter melt into the flour and the sugar, and that's what creates the streusel topping. You could use this on top of muffins too, really anywhere. Anywhere. Mom, what's your favorite kind of pie?
Probably apple.
Apple pie. It's really good.
Apple for fruit, and probably coconut cream for a custard pie.
Oh, are you a meringue or a whipped topping?
Meringue.
Okay. So now I'm going to add 1 stick of butter in here. While I'm doing that, I'm going to have Mom add 3/4 cup of sugar and 3/4 cup of flour into this bowl. Now I'm going to cube up my butter because it's easier to cut in if you cube up the butter. If you leave it in a big stick, it's going to take you a lot longer to create a streusel topping here. Now on the Weidert side of my family, my grandma Weidert was always really big at helping with the pies at Katie Days, and she would call people and ask them to make pies, and if you knew my grandma Helen, you knew not to say no to anything she ever asked. But she was really good at that, and I got to start making my own pies for Katie Days whenever I was about 16 years old, and so that was a lot of fun. And now I actually still make the pies, and I get to actually help serve the pies. So it's kind of a cool lineage there too, and does something good for the town. So now I've got my pastry cutter, and with your pastry cutter, you're just going to run it through here, and you're going to cut in the butter into the flour and sugar mixture, like so. Okay, Mom, I'm going to have you finish cutting this while I talk about this. So we're going to put our streusel topping on top of this pie, and we're going to bake it for about 30 minutes. Now here's the trick. This crust around the edges, for me, always tends to get a little bit browner than I'd like it to about halfway through. So there's a couple things you can do. You can cover it in foil along the edges after it bakes about 10 minutes, or they have these handy dandy, this is a shield, like a pie crust shield, and it's going to set on top of my crust about 10-15 minutes into baking it so that the edges of my pie crust don't get burnt. It stops it from browning. So that's an important thing to know about pies too. If you're just baking the shell of a pie, like say you want to make a chocolate cream pie or anything like that, like a peanut butter cream pie, anything, you want to bake your pie crust first. And if you do that, you want to make sure that you poke holes in it before you put it into the oven. If not, it'll like poof up. So we want to make sure that you do that if you're just baking the pie shell on its own. How's the streusel topping coming?
It's coming. You want to make sure it's just tiny pieces left, that your butter gets crunched up and mixed with the sugar and the flour. And if you don't have a pastry cutter, you can use 2 knives and hold them in your hand kind of together, and you can cut, instead of a pastry cutter, it'll kind of cut the butter up and mix with the flour and the sugar.
That's a taste. I didn't know that trick. I learned something new today, Mom.
And if you want to YouTube it using that, it might be helpful since we're not demonstrating that today.
Yes. All right. We're almost there with that, for sure. We're good to go. Okay, so now this streusel is just going to go all over our yummy blueberry pie filling here. I love blueberries. They're one of my favorite fruits. Okay, so our pie is done. I was a little wrong on the temperature though, so I'm going to retract that a little bit. It needs to be 375 for about 40 to 45 minutes. This recipe I kind of put together myself, and the last time I made it, I didn't really pay attention too close to what I was doing when I was creating it. So 375 for about 40 minutes. And if you notice, it's done. Mom, how do I know if the streusel topping is done?
Well, it's going to brown a little bit on the top, and then if you touch it, and be careful whenever you touch it because it's going to be really hot, you want to make sure that the crust is just a little bit solid.
Yep, and our edges are perfectly brown, and I'll take a picture from the top so you guys can see, but smells wonderful, looks wonderful, the filling's nice and thick, so we have success.
Yes, we do.
Good job, Mama.
Thanks, sis.
Okay, enjoy. Dad. Oh.
Can't
Have a good week, everybody.